What she asked was, when someone does a mistake, we accept him. We accept that mistake and we pardon him. But when we do a mistake, why don't we pardon ourselves? Actually, this is regarding something worldly. Do a mistake, being angry, pardon, all this stuff. These things are worldly things. But in the sense of Nibbana, if you want to attain Nibbana, or if you want to practice the path to attain Nibbana, you should see it in different angle. Mistakes are done. Mistakes happen. That's a mistake. When something happens, if it hurts you, that's your problem. That's not the problem of the mistake. Mistakes are happening. Like wind is blowing. Mistakes are happening. But if it hurts you, that's your fault. You need to do something to cure yourself because it's a disease. Whatever happens in the world, and if it hurts you, it hurts your mind, then actually that's a disease. You can't live in the world. You can't experience happiness. When it rains, if it hurts you, how can you live in the world? Therefore, we need to do something to cure ourselves first. That's what the Lord Buddha asked us to do. The Lord Buddha never asked us to change the world. The Lord Buddha never asked us to stop raining. The Lord Buddha asked us to cure ourselves. Then we don't have to worry. Ultimately, we are thinking about our happiness. Just tell me this. When a mistake happens, if it makes you happy, what do you think about that mistake? In every time when a person does a mistake, it makes you happy. And what do you think about that mistake? Do you want to destroy that person or you don't destroy that mistake? No. This is regarding your happiness. Either you are suffering or you are happy. That's the only consideration we have. People don't want to build the world. People don't want to change the world. People want to be happy because they are vexed. When they are vexed, they always try to be happy. That's their target, that's their ultimate goal. But some people think that they have a goal to make the world a better place to live. They are talking about their dreams and goals. But ultimately, what they want is happiness. They want happiness because they are suffering. They are vexed. That's why they always want to be happy. Whenever you talk to someone, he talks to you. He works with you to be happy. He will do whatever he can to make himself happy. That's why you have to be very careful when you deal with other people. They will do anything. That's the nature of vexatious mind. Or that's the nature of vexed mind. When the mind is vexed, it doesn't think about others. It only focuses about itself. How can I come out of vexation? Therefore, when a mistake happens, and if it hurts you, you react. If it hurts you means, due to that mistake, you are vexed. Therefore, you react. When you react, you can do three things. One is, you can cry. Other one is, you can be angry. The other one is, you can be patient. You can be patient, but you are angry or you are suffering. Every time when you try to improve your patience, either you are suffering or you are angry. You don't want to harm other people. You try to tolerate, but still you are vexed and you are suffering. That's why you try to forgive at that time. You have done a mistake, but I forgive you. That's why you want to forgive other people. But just tell me this. When it rains, do you try to forgive someone? Do you try to forgive? Do you try to forgive the rain? Because you know that it's a natural incident. Therefore, even though it hurts you, sometimes if you are a farmer, sometimes it hurts you because it's going to destroy your farm. But you don't want to forgive. You know that it's a natural incident. No one is there to get the blame, get the responsibility. But when you realize a person has done a mistake, then you want to put a blame on him. That's why you try to forgive him also. Don't worry, I will forgive you. When you walk, and if you stumbled at a stone, do you say that? Stone, I forgive you. Do you say that? Stone, I forgive you? No. Try to understand that. You always try to blame on others when you realize that that mistake is done by a person or something belongs to a person. At that time, you are vexed and you try to get revenge. That's why you can't be happy. Things are happening. If you take them personally, that means if you are identified with those problems, or those scenarios, those incidents, if you are identified with them, that means it happened to me, someone has done to me, then you are vexed and you are suffering. We can forgive other people, can blame them, but what's the point in doing all these things if we are suffering? Therefore, we need to cure ourselves. That should be the target. We need to cure ourselves. Let incidents happen. I don't care. I don't care means it doesn't hurt me. I'm not going to identify it with it. Try to practice that. Then you will be happy forever. Otherwise, you have to consider about all the incidents. Just think about this. A person dies. Isn't that an incident? But when you hear that, you start to suffer. That means suffering is created in your mind. Vexation is created in your mind when you hear the news. An incident has happened. That's it. Someone has died. When you hear that, you try to identify, not try to actually, it happened naturally due to ignorance and attachment. The mind always identified with that incident. Then the mind thinks that it happened to me. It happened to me. That's how the mind thinks. Due to ignorance and attachment, mind feels its existence. At the same time, it's identified with that incident. Therefore, it feels it happened to me. Then the suffering is created in the mind. This is the disease. This is the problem. The biggest problem. Not the biggest problem. Actually, this is the only problem. That's why you should cure it. Do whatever you can do to cure that. Other problems are not real problems. That's why whatever the question you ask, I can take you to the roots of the problem. When we come to the root, that's ignorance and attachment. Whatever the problem, whatever problems we have, just think about this. If you can name 1,000 problems, but everything has only one reason. That reason is, if you come to the root of all the problems you have met, that's ignorance and attachment. Therefore, you can help everyone. First of all, you can help yourself. When you face a problem, try to see the roots. Don't try to solve it in its surface. Don't try to look at it in a simple way. It seems a different question, different problem. But when you go to the root, you will see it happens due to ignorance and attachment. Therefore, try always, if you want to solve the problem, I'm talking about mental issues, mental problems. If you can't pay the rent, that's a different story. Then you need to go to a job, you need to seek for a job and earn. Then you can pay the rent. But here we are talking about mental problems, mental issues, mental suffering. There's only one reason and one solution. If you can eradicate the reason, if you can eradicate the cause, then you won't face any mental issues, mental problems in the future. That's why we should focus on the root. When someone has done a mistake and if it hurts you, don't think that he has hurt you. Actually, what happened is, due to ignorance and attachment, suffering is created in your mind because your mind wanted to identify it with that issue, that problem, that mistake. Therefore, let's try to see the main problem. Let's keep that mistake over there and let's talk about the problem. How do you feel yourself? Is self existing? If not, how do you feel it? This is the thing we need to talk about. How do we feel our existence? Then what can we do to stop? Or do we have any other ways? Well, everybody feels suffering. We know that. Everybody feels it. And they try to come out of that. That's why they develop science. That's why they try to discover the universe. Because they feel suffering and they feel vexation. They want to do something to come out of that. They don't know about this existence. They think that they exist. When you came across the Lord Buddha's Dhamma, you knew that this is a false existence. But whoever haven't had a chance to come through the Dhamma of the Buddha, they don't know about this existence, false existence. They think that the self exists. And they think that it's in a state of happiness, always. That's why they try to change the world. When every time they feel vexation, they try to change the world because they strongly believe that self is always be happy. Or self is happy. Can you say that? Self is happy. It's in a state of joy all the time. Self. But they feel vexation. When they feel vexation, they think that it comes from the outside world. That's why they want to change the world. That's why they want to change it, or forgive, or be angry with that. Whatever. This is not the real answer for this problem. Real answer is you need to understand about the existence. Otherwise, always you have to change the world. But you have been changing this. This is not the first time you are going to change the world. You have been changing it, but nothing happens. You have changed the world, but still you are suffering. Sometimes your mother asked you to become a doctor, then you became. She thought that by making you a doctor, she can be happy. She wanted to change the world to be happy, and she has done it. But still she is suffering. Now again, she has to change the world. Therefore, sometimes she asks you to marry. And when you get married, do you think that she'll be happy? No. Then she will change the world again. People want to change the world until they die. But this is not the way. We know the way now. Only thing is we need to understand. You need to understand about your existence. You need to understand about suffering. You need to understand about vexation. If you don't do that, actually you are beating around the bush. You won't get a result. Because this is not the proper problem. Proper problem is ignorance and attachment. But to understand that, you should understand the Dhamma. You should realize the world. then you will stop doing unnecessary things. You will stop running around your house when you are having a headache. You will realize that it's useless. It's completely useless. You have experienced this. It's completely useless. You are still suffering. Therefore, I strongly recommend you not to change the world. Don't try to change the world. Try to accept the world as it is. You can do that in your mind. Try to accept the world. Everything is an incident. Let incidents happen. Try to save yourself. How do you save yourself? Understand the Dhamma. Then your mind won't be identified with those incidents. Then you'll be happy. At the same time, you can help the world. You can help them to improve the world. That's totally fine. But you don't identify with it. You don't want, or inside your mind, you don't want to change it. You are happy with what you have. You can do that by eradicating ignorance and attachment. If you are with ignorance and attachment, the self is created and all the problems will be yours. All the incidents will be a problem. That's the difference between a problem and an incident. There's an incident. But if you are identified yourself with the incident, it becomes a problem. Can you understand that? That's really important. If you can't stop identifying yourself with that, it remains as an incident. It's an incident. But if you think that it happens to you, then it's a problem. Then you try to solve it. Otherwise, you can leave it. As an example, someone gives you a gift. Now you are so happy. After a week, he asks it back. Then now you are not happy because you had to give something belongs to you. But who gave it? Who gave it? That person. Before he gave it to you, that object belongs to him. Therefore, you were okay with that. And he gave it to you. At that time, you were so happy because you got something from him. You got something that belongs to him. After that, having that, you are identified yourself with the object and you think that it's yours now. When he asks it back, then you feel that he is asking for something that belongs to you. Therefore, you are upset. Actually, it's an incident. That object doesn't belong to anyone. Initially, you thought that that object belongs to him. After that, you thought that that object belongs to you. You can't stop being identified with objects due to ignorance and attachment. Now it became a big issue. Now you are going to spend your time, which means your life, to solve the problem. But the real problem is within you. Sometimes you try to go to the court to solve the matter. But the real problem is within you. Sometimes you will win the case. But still, the real problem is within you. No matter how many court cases you will win, the real problem is within you. If not today, tomorrow you need to solve it because that is the only problem you have. Therefore, in day-to-day life, when you face these type of problems or all the problems, try to go to the root. If it hurts you, but if something has to be done, it has to be done. If someone has to turn off the tap, it has to be done. Then you should do that. If someone always forgets to do that, then you need to inform him. That has to be done. But if it hurts you, that's a different problem. The tap must be turned off. But if it hurts you, then you have to deal with your own problem. This is how you should face the world. You can't just turn a blind eye because you have to serve the world. That's why I told you, I'm not talking about world issues. I'm talking about your issue. If you are suffering, then you are responsible for that. Therefore, let's cure ourselves first. Meanwhile, we can serve the world. We can turn the world a better place to live, but we should be happy first. Otherwise, we can't. Otherwise, what we do is we try to change the world to make ourselves happy. When you try to change the world to be happy, then someone is suffering because everybody wants to change the world. Everybody wants to change the world according to their own desires. Everybody has desires. When you have a desire, your mind is vexed. That's why everybody wants to achieve their desires. No matter what, they want to achieve their desire. That's why having a desire is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's like an unstable nucleus. It can destroy whole world. Just imagine this. A powerful person has a desire to destroy the world. When he has that desire, he is vexed. Then if he wants to make himself happy, what does he have to do? He has to destroy the world. That's what happens in the world. So far, no one wanted to destroy the whole world because he himself also will be destroyed. But someone wants to destroy a country. That's why they start wars. They don't care about innocent people, children, women, citizens. They blast bombs everywhere. They strike with missiles. They don't care because they are vexed and their main target is come out of the vexation. But there's a simple way, but they don't know it. They don't have to destroy a country to be happy. And they can't be happy after that. But they don't know it. That's why you need to pass the message to these people. There's only one way to cure their mind. That's the Dhamma. If they can understand the doctrine of the Lord Buddha, and if they can follow the path, then one day they will realize this is the only way. And if they have done this before, they didn't want to destroy a country, destroy another person. That's why you all should pass the message to everyone. Otherwise, they will destroy each other. They are so ignorant, I'm telling you. Try to understand their mindset. They are so ignorant. Sometimes they think that they are very rich and they are well educated. But what I can say is, they are so ignorant. The only thing is, they think that they can be happy by changing the world. Alas, they don't know that the world is created in their mind. They think that the world exists. Therefore, they try to change it. Because they have their own world in their mind. According to the world which is in their mind, they try to change the outside world. That means they are going to change all the objects which are made up of 4 basic elements. It's very hard. Changing the world is the hardest thing. But taming your mind is very easy. You don't have to touch, you don't have even to touch the world. You just need to change your understanding. You just need to change your views. That's why, first of all, you need to learn the doctrine of the Lord Buddha. That's a view. That's a noble view. Once you have learned that, then you will stop changing the outside world. Then you will be able to accept the world which is created in your mind. Try. Try this in your day-to-day life. When you deal with your friends, When you deal with your family, try to understand. Whenever you have an issue, try to understand. Try to differentiate it into an incident and the identification. Incident plus identification is called problem. When you are identified something with yourself, then you think that it happens to me. Due to ignorance and attachment, the sense of existence is created. Due to ignorance and attachment, that incident happens. At the same time, due to ignorance and attachment, the sense of existence is created. And when you put those two together, you will feel that it happens to me. That's why you want to stop it, or you want to forgive, or you want to change. At least try to say, this is actually very hard. Once you become an arahant, you won't do this. Until that, you will do it. But at least try to understand this. Whenever you have an issue, try to separate them. It's okay to suffer, but it's not okay to be a fool. When you are suffering, try to separate these two and try to understand them. This is an issue, or this is an incident. And due to ignorance and attachment, self is created. That's why suffering is created. If you can separate these two and think, but still you will suffer, because when the mind is ignorant, self is created. You can't stop that. The mind can't stop that. Self is created. Self means it's not actually self. The sense of self is created, I would say that. The sense of self is created. When the mind is ignorant, you can't stop that. The mind can't stop that. Therefore, when you think about this, when you try to separate this, also you will suffer. But don't worry about that. At least you are not a fool. As I told you before, it's okay to suffer, but it's not okay to be a fool. One day you can win if you can separate this successfully. Then at least you won't mad at someone. You don't put blame on someone. Then you can stop committing sins. Every time when you are angry, you commit a sin. Whether you hurt someone or not, when you are angry, you commit sins. Therefore, the best way is not to be patient. The best way is try to eradicate ignorance and attachment. But so, until that, you have to be patient, otherwise you will commit more sins by harming other people. But still you commit a sin because you are angry. You can't stop being angry. You can't stop that. If your mind is ignorant, you can't stop that. If your mind is ignorant, your mind is vexed. The mind can't stop that. An ignorant mind is vexed mind. Therefore, the mind will be easily angry. You can't stop it. That means you will commit sins. You can't stop that. That's why when you come to the human world is a good place to live. You know that. It's not like animal kingdom. It's a good place to live, but still you are having headaches, backaches, pains. You can't stop that. Therefore, Always try to understand the root. Come to the root. Don't try to solve problems in other ways. If you try to problems in other ways, you will double, triple your problems. That's what you have done so far. Sometimes you have many enemies now because you wanted to solve the problem without understanding it. If you could understand that, if you could understand the root of the problem, then you will cure yourself. At the same time, you will do something to change the world for good. But it doesn't hurt you. You don't do that because it hurts you. You do it, it's good for everyone. Therefore, now you can see that you have two responsibilities. The main responsibility is you need to cure yourself. You need to be very strong. Very strong means you shouldn't be shaky. When incidents happen, you should be very strong. You can't identify yourself with those problems or those incidents. You can't make problems out of incidents. Try to remember that. Don't make problems out of incidents. Actually, ignorance and attachment make problems out of incidents. Therefore, if you want to keep incidents as incidents, you need to eradicate ignorance and attachment. And we know how to eradicate ignorance and attachment. We have the way because we are so lucky. We got the Lord Buddha's Dhamma and we practice it. And one day we all will win. May the blessings of the Noble Sri Pajam be with you all. Thank you.